What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Chat with Will Grant. I'm super grateful for everyone showing up on the live. I'm grateful for everyone watching later on YouTube. I'm with my awesome and spectacular co-host, Dr. Edwin Adams. How you doing today, Edwin? What's going on?
What is up, Will Grant? It's good to be back with you. I missed you terribly over these 2 weeks that between my schedule and your schedule, we've had some cancellations of these webinars, the holidays. I'm just grateful to be back with you, man. I think we're better together. So welcome back.
I agree, man. And I'm grateful you're here. I've been traveling and moving and grooving and making a lot of big moves in my life and other areas. And I'm excited to get back on here, get back into a routine, talking about nutrition and breath work and just all things that are going to help us feel better, live better for not only us, but for the people we care about the most. I'm actually starting this chat today. I'm breaking my fast. Many people know how big I am on fasting. And, I was traveling a lot last week where the healthy food was very limited, especially on the traveling. And, we were stuck in a big arena, just breathing in dust all weekend. So I'm actually going to break my fast with just some homegrown papaya. And this was grown in my backyard. And it's one of the best things, especially when you're traveling, come home to realign your gut microbiome, to realign your gut and your immune system with your local environment by eating some locally grown foods. And papayas actually tend to be some of the healthiest foods that we can eat, not only for our gut health, but our heart health and to fight off cancer. Right before we logged on here, I just looked up a few benefits I wanted to share with you guys. But this says just on Google, papayas are rich in antioxidants and phytochemicals. Papayas help in keeping the heart healthy and fight off heart diseases that might come your way. Plus the vitamin C, fibers, and potassium promote healthy blood flow and keeps the arteries healthy. The maintenance of cholesterol also helps in warding off many heart diseases. And just a few of some awesome papaya benefits. It's good for your eyes. It aids in digestion. It aids in anti-aging, boosts immunity, helps with weight loss, better kidney health, great for diabetics, better for cardiovascular health. And one thing that I've noticed in my own life is my dearest friend and my manager, Gary, who's been kind of my biggest testimony to almost all things I teach, nutrition and breath work. But one thing that he noticed from constantly having digestive issues his whole entire life, having acid reflux, having allergy issues, is if he's just consistent with eating a little bit of papaya every single day, it almost eliminates his gut health problems, which is pretty amazing. So I have a bunch of papaya trees growing in my front and backyard. So I'm constantly just giving him some papayas and sharing it with him. And it's really cool to see the benefits that he's getting, as well as they're pretty delicious too. Got a nice little scoop here. And here's breaking my fast.
That's really cool, man. We don't have that over here in Louisiana. So
I'm pretty sure you can grow papayas there.
They're grown in Florida. They're not part of my biome.
Yeah, but if it grows there, it'll take the microbiome of the soil. It'll take the microbiome of the air and take those perfect amount of nutrients for your system. And papayas, if you grow anywhere or if you live anywhere that doesn't freeze, I recommend growing papayas. They will grow and they'll grow extremely easily and extremely fast. They're actually one of the fastest growing fruits, where if you live in a place that does have a mild winter or a winter, even like Louisiana, if you plant one early in the year after your last frost, you could possibly get a bunch of fruits by fall time before it starts to get cold again. So, but the only way of knowing is you could easily buy a papaya from the grocery store, recommended organic, of course. And when you cut them open, there's usually a bazillion seeds in them. That is one, healthy to eat a few of those, throw a couple in your smoothie, and then bury them, plant them in your yard. And then if it's either going to grow an awesome papaya tree, or it's going to be just break down and nourish the soil for whatever you plant to grow next.
Yeah, David's saying they are supposed to grow well in Southeast Louisiana. Yeah, that is a little bit closer to a tropical region than we are, just because they're close to the coast and the Gulf Coast and the warm waters. Up here in North Louisiana, we freeze a lot more. So
Yeah.
interesting. I'll try it out though.
Yes, so it's definitely going to be a little harder. But one thing that I learned from the legendary Pete Canaris when it comes to food forests is the plants, they don't read the books, so you'll be surprised of what the plants can accomplish. So for example, if you spend some time really nourishing your soil and building, a thick layer of soil by, say, really deep mulching, by taking all of the chop and drop, or the local tree, like the local tree wood chips that you can get from your local tree service companies, they'll drop off a big load of mulch. And if you lay that on your soil, it protects a lot of the plants. So they'll be able to take a little bit more cold when it gets cold and a little bit more heat when it gets too hot. So just try it, try to plant the papaya. And then if it doesn't work, just try something else. And if it does work, that's an awesome way to really just get your garden growing, So a little trick is, the more you build that soil and the stronger you make the soil, the more harsher conditions that your plants are going to be able to survive, in the same way as our own health as well. The more we build our soil inside our gut with healthy fruits and healthy vegetables, the more that our body is going to be able to handle and take from the outside circumstances of bacteria and viruses and all that stuff, that all the intruders that may try to get us.
Yeah, Will, I've always appreciated the discussions we have about these topics, but it was made even more real by, and I think I shared this with you, a documentary on Netflix that I watched, Kiss the Ground, I believe it was called. Wow, what an impactful message about soil and its true value, and something that we've neglected for a little bit. You want to comment on that?
Yeah. It's literally all about soil. Like the health of us and the health of this planet is determined on the health of the soil. And because of our modern day lifestyles, our modern day agriculture, and our modern day industrial system, we're really not taking care of the soil. And in turn, the earth is not really taking care of us in the way that it could be. So for example, the amount of nourishment that you're going to get out of any food is the amount of, is based on the amount of nourishment that plant is able to get from the soil. So for example, you can take 100 pieces of broccoli and they're all going to have a different level of nourishment density based on how dense and nourished the soil is. So for example, you could grow a piece of broccoli with really poor soil and sprayed with a bunch of chemicals and pesticides and herbicides. And that's just going to bring all of that poor DNA, poor microbiome into yours. And it's going to be antibiotic for your own system, as opposed to if you're eating food from extremely rich and nourished soil, that is going to be not only a healthier plant, a more nourishing plant that has so many more vitamins and minerals, but it's going to be healthier for the earth. It's going to be healthier for you. And the greatest thing is it's actually going to taste better. There's a reason why these 5-star restaurants are sourcing their food from organically regenerative growing farms, because the taste and the flavor and the nourishment is so much stronger and it's so much better. When something has a really bland taste, it's suffering from nutrients as well a lot of times. So that's why, I read the other day that, just an average potato today, you have to eat 50 modern day potatoes to get the amount of nourishment that one potato had in the 50s. And that is because of our soil practices. We're extracting everything and we're loading it with chemicals, as opposed to just focusing on building the soil. And when we focus on building the soil, the plants take care of themselves, and then the plants will in turn, their cup will be overflowing to then start taking care of us.
Yeah, I think the statistic that was most startling to me, Will, was that the volume of chemical that we're talking about. And I know we've talked about organic sources for a long time, but I grew up on a farm. My whole family for generations have been row crop farmers. And the statistic that came out in the documentary was that for every human in the US, every human, that's many, many millions of people, 3 pounds of toxic chemicals are placed on row crops. So yeah, row crops don't cover all of the US. So can you imagine? That's a lot of chemicals going into the dirt.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And that's what happens when you grow row crops. And what Edwin means by row crops, another word is monocropping. That's when you're driving through the Midwest or through Kansas or Arkansas or anywhere in that area, and you just see hundreds and thousands of acres of the same crop. It's usually going to be corn or soybean because they use those two things to really make all of our processed food, and they feed that to all of our processed animals and our sick and unhealthy animals. So that's one of the biggest problems is we're growing one species over hundreds and hundreds of acres of land that creates imbalance. So when you grow all of this space with one crop, that's going to invite a pest that just likes that one crop. And there's not going to be any biodiversity or any balance of other plants to then provide, a intruder to eat that intruder. Because if you look into a forest, you really don't have those issues because of biodiversity. Now, other than nourishing your soil, to get rich and nourishing plants, the next trick is biodiversity. That's biodiversity in our health, in our diet, and biodiversity in the earth. That's really the key to health is biodiversity. And what I mean by that is instead of eating the same foods every day based on the same 2 row crops of soybean and corn, you want to eat different fruits and different vegetables because different fruits and different vegetables help nourish and support a different system and different function in your body. So you don't want to just eat broccoli every day. You want to eat broccoli, Brussels sprouts, carrots, onions, mushrooms, and try to always switch it up to increase that biodiversity in your own health. And as funny as it is, biology has so many similarities because the earth works the exact same way. The strength of a forest is a lot of times measured by its biodiversity of how many different types of plants and different types of animals are living in that ecosystem. And our gut works the exact same way. So, because what's beautiful is if you have one plant that attracts one pest, a different plant is going to attract a predatory bug to eat that bug. And then nothing gets out of balance because everything is in balance and kind of taking care of itself. And, just like in a big company or a healthy body or a football team, you can't have 12 quarterbacks. You have to have a quarterback. You have to have a running back. You have to have a receiver. You have to have a couple linemen, and that's going to create a strong team, a healthy team. And that goes in the same way of the health of our forest and the health of us, because we are just almost mirrors of our environment. We are our environment. So the more our environment is struggling, the more we're going to struggle. And, the more we take care of our environment, the more our environment will take care of us. And the key is biodiversity, planting different plants and eating different fruits and plants as well. And that's what's going to protect us from all sorts of different viruses, all sorts of different changes in the weather or different microbiomes from different people.
So let's talk about struggle. Will, you have been, since our last webinar 2 or 3 weeks ago, you've been on the move. You are returning to pro competition with BMX. You have been on the road all the way out to Oklahoma. Your travel is not going to stop anytime soon, since this is really peak training season for you and competition season. So I know that challenge has to be real. And I'm interested in your feedback on that, because I think a lot of us in this COVID pandemic space have been at home a lot more. And I know just from my personal experience with my circle of influence, a lot of people have resorted to comfort food because of the head games at play with being in a pandemic environment. So I know the two worlds are different, the competitive world and the pandemic world, but nonetheless, there's a disruption that compels us to eat a certain way. And I'm just curious what strategies, what pitfalls, and what you've learned over the past couple of weeks with your travels.
Well, there's a bit of frustration, but there's also a bit of opportunity. Okay. So it is extremely hard to eat healthy while traveling. Extremely hard, because when you're on the road, you almost see nothing but gas stations and fast food. It's not like you're going to find some little organic cafe, and you don't have time to stop at a farmer's market. You know, I think the best thing that you can do, which we learned about halfway through the drive that we didn't do, is to prepare your food, you know, is to bring little Tupperware boxes of some healthy foods from home, of some fruits, some vegetables, maybe already steamed, boiled, or cooked up. But is to prepare, you know, not planning is planning to fail, or not preparing is preparing to fail. You know, I know we've all heard that saying, you know, and that's something that I learned along the way, like, wow, I should have really done that, you know. But the frustration is the way our modern day industrial agriculture and lifestyle is, it's not really set to be able to grab good, healthy food at convenience. So right now there is sacrifice. So you can either do two things. You can fast, which is probably the healthiest thing that you can do, is just when you're traveling, use that time as a meditation and use that time to connect with yourself and just go without. You know, you will get the greatest lessons in life on an empty stomach and an empty wallet. You know, that's when you're really going to be able to not only clean and cleanse your whole system, but you're going to dip into a deeper level of your own mentality, so you're able to bring out more of yourself. But if fasting isn't an option, because if you're going up for a competition as a pro athlete, fasting is something you really can't do leading up to a race. So you do the best you can. You know what I mean? You know, if there's a grocery store on the way, stop and get some, you know, vitamin C drinks and, you know, some, you know, healthy fruits and vegetables on the way, and maybe find like a good little protein snack, but just do the best you can. But you can't harp on it, because it's almost impossible to do the right thing. And when we got to the event, or when we got to the place, we made sure that our place had a kitchen. Okay. So what we do is we use Airbnb always over a hotel, you know, because you have your own kitchen, you have your own fridge, you have your own way to cook food. And if this is at all possible, this is the best option. So when we first got to Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, the first thing that we did is we went to the Airbnb. We checked out what was in the kitchen and what kind of cookingware that we had. We dropped off all of our bags and immediately went to our most organic grocery store that we could find, which ended up being Sprouts. So we went to Sprouts and we all got the food that we were going to eat. You know, we tried to look for something local and something from a farm nearby. And if it didn't have it, just try to find, you know, the best nutritious fruits and vegetables and protein sources that we can find. And we ate in as much as we possibly can. We cooked as much as our food as we possibly can. And then when we didn't have time or didn't have the energy to cook our food, we stopped at Chipotle. You know, Chipotle actually, surprisingly, I found somewhere that they're actually ranked #1 in how they source their food compared to how large they are. You know, because the larger that a chain gets, the harder it gets to source their food from quality, because our food is designed to be thousands of little mini farms all around, you know, the country. You know, for a company as big as a Chipotle, they actually do a pretty good job at sourcing their food as local and as best as they possibly can. So that's kind of our go-to fast food is Chipotle. So yeah, and then we just did the best they can. And then after the whole week was done, we splurged. You know, I stopped at Whataburger and had the fattest burger. You know, I stopped at Chick-fil-A and had some nuggets. Like, but we've been eating really good, you know, for a year. And that was like our end of year splurge. And then when I got home, guess what? I wasn't really feeling that great. You know, my body wasn't feeling great because I was eating lower quality foods for a week, and I was stressing my body out through competition. You know, I was stuck in a big closed arena with a bunch of people, you know, breathing in dust and breathing in a bunch of other sick people's microbiome. So we're all sharing that. So my microbiome was compromised. So one of the first things I did when I got home is I slept in and I did a little bit of a fast. I took some time to let my body recoup and to re-cleanse, because your body gets most of its work done on an empty stomach. So when your body's not working on digesting food, it's going to use those extra resources on cleaning and repairing and cleansing. And then I immediately tried to break my fast with something growing in my yard. That's why I always try to get on people, especially the people that I love and care about the most, is try to plant something in your yard. If you have at all access to any grass, any dirt in your front yard, backyard, your mom's front yard, your mom's backyard, your uncle, your grandpa, plant something. It doesn't matter if it's a papaya tree, a pineapple, an apple tree, something that is going to align your gut microbiome with your microbiome of your environment. That's going to let your body, that's going to communicate your microbiome to your DNA to let them know what genes to turn off and what genes to turn off, of how to react and to respond best to its environment and climate conditions. So yeah, I actually made a super smoothie, which I talk about all the time, and everything that I talk about on nutrition is I broke my fast with just a blended up smoothie with as much nourishment as I possibly can find. I'm super grateful and blessed. And I say grateful and blessed, not because it happened on accident, because I did build this soil and I did plant these seeds, but I'm grateful and blessed to have plants in my backyard that nature's growing for me. I do very minimal work past building the soil and planting the plants. But I walked in my backyard and I grabbed a handful of moringa. For those health interested people, they may know that a moringa powder is sold for top dollar at all health stores, because it's pound for pound some of the most nourishing, maybe the most nourishing leaves that we know about on the planet. It's also called the miracle tree. It's also called the vitamin it's also called the vitamin tree because it just has more vitamins and minerals than anything that we know about. Luckily, I have these growing in my backyard and they grow like a weed. So again, you could grow this, Edwin. If you grow, or if you live anywhere that doesn't have a harsh winter, grow some moringa. And even if you grow, or even if you live somewhere with a winter, plant it in the spring and it grows fast enough to grow as an annual.
How much are you selling your seeds for, Will? I need you to send me some.
I'll send you some seeds for free. I'm not even selling them. but yeah, and that's another thing. It gives off so many seed pods a few times a year that you could use the seeds to actually filter water. And it's amazing because it grows so fast. It's an amazing way to build your soil as well, because every time you chop it, break it down and spread it around the actual tree, that breaks down and naturally fertilizes and nourishes the soil and builds your soil, so things tend to grow easier and faster and more abundant. So back to my super smoothie, I filled it with some moringa. I filled it with some katuk, which is another medicinal vegetable, some cranberry hibiscus, and then I went inside and some stuff I bought from the grocery store, some organic turmeric, and some kale, some spinach, and some almonds, some pumpkin seeds, and a scoop of Nutrabio grass-fed whey protein. And boom, just had that, and that can just help my body cleanse out, help my body readjust to its environment, give my body some nourishing foods to help clean and repair and do everything that it needs to do. And now, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm definitely feeling a lot better, that's for sure. And the more that we nourish ourselves, the better that we're going to feel. And the better that we feel, the more that we can nourish our environment. That could be our loved ones, that could be our kids, that could be our friends, that could just be our own house, our own space, our own front and backyard. That could be the team that we're on, the job or the occupation that we do. The better that we make ourselves, the more that we can nourish our environment. And the more that we nourish our environment, the better we become ourselves.
Yeah, you made just a ton of great points there, Will. I think that was enough to close this webinar down. That was just gold what you dropped. I'm finding with the clients that I serve and the patients that I treat, because of this negative headspace environment that we find ourselves in, that we've kind of planted ourselves in unknowingly with the information that we're taking in through our senses, what we see, what we read, what we hear, what we watch, what we listen to, that negative headspace plays a direct role in the quality of the food choices and the nutrition that we're choosing, and it's bad choices coming from a bad mindset. So I think this is really a great time of the year to reset both of those, using a fasting strategy to stop the negative turn down that you've gone in your food choices. So just stop eating, align yourself with breath, and then I think you might find the headspace available to go make some better choices that then get you in a growth cycle. Is that fair? Because I'm looking for a way to help a lot of people who are struggling right now with this first that's driving behavior second.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're spot on. And I think we all have to be extremely mindful of what we consume. And I'm not just talking about food, I'm talking about information, I'm talking about news, I'm talking about newspaper. You know, when I watch the TV or watch the news or read the newspaper, it reminds me of the same thing as eating junk food, but for the brain. You know, like the more of that toxic mass media that you consume, it's just needless, useless information that is going to bog up the brain in the same way of just eating a bunch of toxic candy and toxic sugar is going to bog up the body. You know, so we have to be really mindful of what we are consuming, what we're listening to, what we're hearing, what we're eating, what we're seeing, you know, and that's why that's why our environment is very important, because our environment in a lot of ways determines what we consume, from the friends that we hang out with, from the people that we hang out with, to you know, the air that we breathe, to, you know, the news and the TV and the type of things and media that we watch. So one of the best things that we can do if you are feeling not as well as you want to feel is to take a break from it all, to fast from it. So I recommend a phone fast, as you know, a phone screen fast, as well as a food fast. You know, so what I've been really liking doing, and I've been seeing some awesome results from, is trying to do a phone fast every single night. So when I'm done with my workday and I'm done with everything, say an hour before I go to bed, around 8, 9 o'clock, I'll put my phone on airplane mode and I'll put it on the charger away from my bedroom. So just so my brain can stop consuming what everybody else is doing and what's going on all over the world. Instead, I can connect with myself and right now in this present moment. And it's going to maybe feel uncomfortable for the first 5 minutes, but after a while you surrender, you get this feeling of peace and clarity. And then to do the same thing, to fast from your phone, but then to fast from food. You know, I recommend at least 12 hours every single day. And you could even do this if you're an athlete. At least 12 hours every single day. If you go from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., no phone and no food. And during that time, what I like to do is 30 minutes before bed, I'll set a timer for 30 minutes. And when I first wake up, before I grab my phone, I'll set a timer for 30 minutes. And I'll just get on the mat and I'll move and I'll breathe, you know, and I'll do a bunch of different breathing exercises. I'll connect with my body. My favorite that you guys seen that I do pretty much every single day is Wim Hof breathing, you know, and then another one is just putting my focus and attention on my breath. And just to stop and do that will help clean and cleanse all of that negative feelings and negative thoughts and negative emotions from your brain. Let all that shit to continue to come up so you can release and let it go. And then I promise you, if you do that for 7 days, 7 days, you will feel like you lost 20 pounds of mental clutter. You know, you might actually lose 10 pounds of, you know, fat, 10 pounds of bad weight that's weighing you down. And just make it simple. 12 hours every day. You're sleeping probably 8 of those hours. You want to wake up, you want to accomplish something before you grab your phone. Write in your journal, set your intentions, meditate, breathe, get on the mat, move your body, walk outside, take some deep breaths, walk your dog around the park. Accomplish something before you wake up and grab your phone. And what I've found is the most effective thing to accomplish is to connect with your breath. Breathe, because when you connect with your breath, you connect with yourself. When you connect with yourself, you learn to understand yourself, and you learn to manage yourself, and you learn how to eliminate the thoughts that aren't serving you, clarify what you really do want, clarify what you really are trying to accomplish, and then you're able to be more proactive with your energy and do what you have to do instead of struggling, constantly thinking about what to do.
Oh, I love that. And our friend David, who is listening live with us today, says, since we were last together, he's made some significant lifestyle changes. He starts each day with Wim Hof breathing, have been doing that for about a month, and he added meditation to that regimen. And he's also fasted twice in the last 2 weeks, one for 16 hours and once for 8 hours. Will, you and I have both been evil influences on him. So thanks. That's awesome, David. Congrats.
That's so awesome. David, dude, you are doing so awesome. I'm so proud and I'm stoked for you. I'm sure you're feeling so much better. I want to give you a challenge, David. 12 hours every single day of no food and no phone, especially food. 12 hours every single day. You said that you did 8 hours one day. Most people are sleeping 8 hours, So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you just got to not eat at 9 o'clock and then make sure you wait till after 9, to have that first meal and to open up your phone, but definitely try to get 12 hours every single day and see how much better you feel mentally and physically.
Yeah, I think that is the answer. And David, thank you for taking the risk, and thank you for investing in yourself, because that's how true transformations in becoming happier and healthier and stronger are going to occur, is by not necessarily knowing the what or the how process, but you stand up and say, yes, I'm going to do it. And you go experiment and you learn and you keep honing that skill, and before long you have made a significant change in how you think, how you feel, and how well you become. So David, I'm proud of you. That's awesome. And
Yes,
for those of you that keep showing up, thank you for the emails that you keep sending to us about your successes, about your challenges. Those mean so much, that you're engaged and that you're willing to invest in yourself. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And another thing that we could constantly be reminded of is something I'm very frequently hearing from Seth Godin, is talking about it just being a practice. Don't worry about this one result. If I failed or I succeeded, but every single day is a practice, of just trying to do better, trying to learn more, and try to figure out how you can do just a little bit better tomorrow. And not every practice session is the best practice session, but sometimes the practice that gave you the most struggle, where we necessarily didn't succeed, is where we can gain the most insights and learn the most. So every time you're fasting and going without eating, that is a practice, not only a mental practice, but a physical practice as well, of mental strength, of physical health, and training your body to learn how to burn fat as energy instead of the constant carbohydrate and sugar that we're feeding it. So, every day is just a practice, so I want to portray to you guys to not focus so much on the result, but just on the practice of the process of just doing your best every single day.
Yeah, our other friend David is on the line, and he's asking a great question. I'd love to respond to, Will, with your input. Is, do you advise giving up on TV as well as the phone? And David, I'm sure my answer will be similar to Will's, in that I think there's one primary question that you need to ask yourself in whether you're eating something whether you're watching something or reading something, is to answer the question, will this serve me? So I would say if what you're watching on TV does not align with your core values and the identification of those or the expression of those, or it's not making you better, then I would question whether you need to watch it. So if what you watch on TV is not nutritious, then I would say, yeah, you need to fast from the TV habit that you have. And maybe it will point to opportunities for you to receive better information that does serve you. So I think that's an important question to ask, Will. What would you say?
Turn the TV off. Yeah. Just turn the TV off, because that's just junk food. You know what I mean? It's almost always junk food for the brain. There is some really awesome documentaries and some really awesome movies that come out that you can go and enjoy with, your friends and family and, and people. But I definitely wouldn't recommend having a habit of TV. That's like having a habit of chocolate cake every night. It's overconsumption of something that you don't need. I think a good place to start is turning your TV off and asking, why are you watching the TV? Are you watching TV just to pass time? Because if so, you have to think about time as our most valuable resource. Just the odds of us being on this beautiful planet and having life is absolutely spectacular. And all the many things that you could learn about and do, and all the things that you can accomplish and learn and to be and to go explore, you're sacrificing that to just sit and numb the brain on the TV, or are you watching TV for a distraction to distract you from maybe something that you should be doing, could be doing, or something that maybe doesn't feel good inside? Clarify why you're really watching TV. Is it for a distraction, or is it just to pass time by? And either one, it's going to be better if you turn that TV off and connect with what you're distracting with so you can learn from it and move on from it. Or if you're doing it to pass time, you got to realize how important the time we have here is, because there is never a good excuse to be bored, and if there is, you just have to get out and try to find what interests you away from the TV. If you want to learn how to build a garden, if you want to devote that time to your kids, your wife, your family, your mother, your friends, or if you want to learn how to build a train set, learn how to, work on a motorcycle, whatever it is to you, there's something most likely when you were a kid that you were really interested in. But, and even as a teenager or as a kid that you were so interested in that you just couldn't find time to do because you had all these responsibilities. But now if you're spending time watching TV, go back to that. Go back to what got you excited as a kid and spend time exploring with that and starting a practice with that. And then all of a sudden, that's when you're going to feel really good about yourself. That's when you're going to challenge your mind and challenge and make all these new connections in your brain. That's going to not only make you feel better tomorrow, but make you feel better in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and by the end of this show. But if you're just numbing yourself with TV, you're going to miss out on not only a lot of your own strengths, but a lot of beauty in the world.
Well, I've got something better they could watch, Will. It's coming up Monday night. What might that be?
Yeah, Edwin makes a good point. Or this Monday, we're actually doing a live webinar about all things nutrition. So we're going to be going over pretty much everything that I know in my brain, bouncing it off Edwin, and working with a few other people about how we can eat our best to feel our best. I know there's so much confusion out there about what is healthy. Am I supposed to be vegan? Do I eat meat? Do I eat eggs? What vegetables are good? Am I supposed to be eating organic? How do I know if it's even organic? Where do I get my good foods? What fast food is good? What fast food is bad? And probably the number one thing is, how do I overcome my cravings? How do I overcome my temptations? How do I not be a victim of my cravings and instead be in control of what I think, feel, do, and eat? And this webinar, we're going to even go over how to grocery shop, so you, by the end of it, you're going to have some confidence going into the grocery store to know what to eat to properly nourish you and your family. And we're going to even have a small little snippet of how to even grow your own food, because the best food that you can possibly eat is the food that you grow in your yard. The second best food that you can possibly eat is the food your neighbor grows. The third best food that you can possibly eat is the food from the local organic regenerative farmer. Past that, you just want to search for as close and as naturally grown as you possibly can. That's the key to nourishment. It's pretty simple, but we're going to be going over it in detail, clarifying all the stuff so you have full confidence and a full understanding on knowing what to eat. And that's this Monday night. I'm super excited because it's probably going to be the most epic webinar we've done to date, I would say. So I'm really excited about this. And I hope that you not only show up, but you invite some friends as well. Invite your friends, invite your family, invite the people that you really care about, that know that may be interested in this, or maybe needs to hear about what is proper nutrition and how to overcome some temptations.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to connect at a different time. I know this time of day may not be conducive to everybody's schedule due to a work schedule, family obligations, whatever. So we're going to try an evening schedule and see if that serves people better.
Yeah. And that's why webinars are so cool. Like that's something to be grateful for, is because there's never been a time in the history of our species, especially if you live in America or, in a first world country, there's never been a better opportunity to learn anything that you're interested in. So, instead of turning on the TV and watching something maybe pointless that doesn't serve you, you could log in to almost any teacher or coach all over the world, and they're doing webinars. It doesn't have to be mine. I highly recommend checking out mine this Monday because it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But guess what? Tuesday, I bet there's going to be another one from another great teacher. Wednesday, there's going to be something else, to where instead of watching TV, you can connect with people all over the world who have devoted their lives to studying these things and that you can learn from. This could be anything from nutrition to exercise to learning how to make matchbox cars and, replica airplanes. Whatever you're into, there's people out there teaching and coaching, and you can learn whatever you want. And I promise you, the more you do that, the better you're going to feel.
So this is going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern, right, Will? 7 o'clock Central, and you can reserve your spot to get that Zoom link by going to thewillgrant.com, and it's listed right there at the top, the registration link. Did I get the details right?
Yep, super, super simple. All you have to do is go to thewillgrant.com, and it should be one of the first things to show up to reserve your spot. And it's completely free. We're not charging this to anybody. This is completely free. I want to connect with you guys and share some really insightful, awesome stuff that's going to help you feel really good.
That's cool, Will. And, based on the popularity of this, we'll consider that time schedule maybe a little bit more and having some special programming after hours.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So cool. Yeah, David. Yeah. What time Monday night? 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it will be through Zoom.
8 o'clock New York, Florida time, 7 o'clock Texas, Louisiana time, 6 o'clock Arizona time, maybe, and then 5 o'clock California, Washington.
Yeah. Call it Denver Mountain Time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that'll be awesome, Will. And I hope y'all can all join in. Please invite your friends and family to come. We'd love to have dialogue and answer questions.
Yeah. And if there's any questions that you want us to even cover in that, or in a future episode of this, put in the comments below, email us, let us know the stuff that you guys want to hear. And we're going to keep coming back, producing content, and trying to share as much as we can with you guys and connect with you guys. One thing that is kind of my own personal value, going back to nutrition, going back to everything that I'm doing, is I try to produce more than I consume. I try to create more than I consume. So, if that's with content, instead of constantly being on my phone consuming the content, I want to be producing content for you guys. Instead of constantly consuming food, I want to produce nourishment for the people around me. And what's kind of interesting is the more I learn about breath actually works the same way. The more that we can exhale, produce that carbon dioxide and exhale that carbon dioxide out, And the less we need to inhale, the healthier we're going to be. So a lot of us, just a quick little breath tip, a lot of us are over breathing, and I know this sounds super weird coming from somebody who's telling you to breathe more, but a lot of us are over breathing. And what I mean by that is we're taking in too much air on these short, shallow breaths, much like if we're on a row team in the water. These short, shallow rows aren't going to get us very far. We want to be extremely efficient with our fuel. So we want to inhale as much as we need, but the longer that we can exhale, the more that we're going to be able to release that carbon dioxide, and the more that oxygen is going to be able to get into our cells, the healthier we're going to feel, the calmer we're going to feel, the more present we're going to be, and the longer we're going to last as well. That's fuel efficiency. We want to be running around the day as efficient as a Prius, not, a big diesel truck engine, So if you're constantly breathing through your mouth in these short, shallow chest breaths, it's kind of like putting your gas pedal all the way down. It gives you this quick little panic burst of energy, but you're going to wear out real quick. And that's, one big cause of brain fog, one big cause of just low energy throughout the day, as opposed to if we can close our mouth and take nice, long breaths in through our nose and even longer exhales through our nose, the better and healthier we're going to be.
Did you say efficient as a Prius?
As efficient. Yeah, that's how
efficient as a Tesla, dude. We have moved on from Prius.
Okay. That's probably smarter. That's probably
and Tesla's a hell of a lot sexier than a Prius. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The saying has changed officially right now.
Okay, fair enough. So we are going to meet next Thursday for sure at the same time, yep. Covering nutrition, but really Monday night is an all out affair. That's going to be awesome. So I hope everybody can join us.
It's going to be epic. Bring yourself, bring your friends, bring your family. It's going to be a good one.
Awesome. Hey, I do have a question from Braden.
You muted out on me, Edwin.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. No, I didn't. Total accident.
What's the question from Braden?
So Braden sent us a message. He says, "Hi, Will. Hey, Dr. Adams. I am running into a new dilemma I hope you can give me some insight into. I have been fasting and noticed my cravings have really curved downward. I find I can eat one meal a day because I am not very hungry or craving foods. This is what is confusing me because I feel I should be hungry and a little confused as to why I feel guilty I'm not eating as many meals and snacks like I used to eat." So he feels great. He's not starving myself. It's more of a head thing. Let me reread that. What can I do to stop feeling guilty for not eating? What a great question.
That is a great question. First of all, that's usually exactly what the body is going to do. Your body adapts to whatever you give it. And we're so trained to have so many meals a day that our body starts craving so many meals a day. And then once you start fasting, you overcome your temptations. That is the most beautiful thing about fasting, is it helps you overcome your cravings and overcome your temptations, because your body realizes it doesn't need to eat constantly all day, every day. One meal a day is good. The only reason why you may be feeling guilty is because of all of the stigma from our modern day society telling you to eat, when it's really not going to help you in any way. Now, Braden, if you're an athlete trying to gain some strength or gain some muscle, you want that one meal a day to be the biggest meal that you could possibly eat in the world. Or, I recommend maybe having some meals, before and after some training sessions. But if you're just looking for overall health, one meal a day is good, and if you got to that point, your body's adjusted, your body is doing amazing things those other 23 hours a day. So just notice that and trust yourself, because your body knows what to do. Go by how your body's feeling. Nobody on this planet knows better what you and your body need better than you. Okay, so you go by how you're feeling, not by what all of these outside information is telling you, because if you're feeling good, listen to your body.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Braden, that there are two strong forces at play here. There is the psychology around what you have been doing that is programmed as a habit. So habits are deeply rooted, they are hardwired, and they come from years of practice. So it's like a superhighway you've created in your brain from thought to action, think, eat, and I need to eat these certain ways. Well, now you've disrupted that and you're going to have to rewire it over a period of time. So I would say use the guilt that you feel as the compass point that you're doing the right thing. Ryan Holiday would call that being the obstacle is the way. That feeling of guilt is the way. So keep stepping into it by continuing to practice a practice that is beneficial for you. And then the second component is physiology. You're rewiring the way your whole body processes and times the intake of nutrients. So again, from the psychology to the physiology, you're going through massive change right now. So you're supposed to be feeling, I don't know if the word is guilty, that's the word you used, but it's a disruption and the body's fighting it, going, this is a threat. This is a threat. But really, once the body understands what you're doing and it starts rewiring your new timing, those feelings are going to go away. So I think you're doing the right thing, man.
Also, Braden, later this week or when we get off this chat, I want you to send me a direct message on Instagram and tell me your age, your weight, and your goals. And then let's see if we can find what's going to work best for you. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Make sure you're getting enough nutrition. That's critical.
Yeah.
All right, Will.
Let's land this plane.
Challenge this week.
Challenge just,
Show up to the
gonna give
webinar.
the challenge. Huh?
Show up to the webinar on Monday night. That's the challenge.
Yeah, that is the challenge. This Monday, show up on the webinar. Go to thebillgrant.com. Reserve your spot. It is completely free. And for another challenge, from now until that webinar, try that 12 hours every day, no food, no phone. Okay, from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. or if 10 p.m., 10 a.m., 8 p.m., 8 a.m., whatever works best for you in the morning. And if you're, and the biggest excuse I hear on that is, well, I use my phone as an alarm clock. Well, two things. Turn your phone on airplane mode is one. You can still hear that thing beeping from the other room, I promise. And just go get a regular alarm clock. Use your watch, use anything but your phone. Maybe using your phone for the alarm clock is not the best option, but you can still hear that thing beeping from outside of your bedroom, I promise. So no 12 hours, no food, no phone every single day until the webinar. And I will see you all Monday. Bring a friend.
Excellent. Peace out, Will. Great to be back with you. Enjoyed this.
Later, Edwin. Thank you.